How are you doing? Hey, Joey, what's with the power? I don't know what's going on, but the power has gone off numerous times. We hope that it will stay on this time, but and we're going to pick up where we left off. I'm not even sure where we left off, but I do have another story.
Okay, I'm interested.
So first, can you see my screen in there in the control room? I don't know. Everything went kind of wonky, so it's possible that they haven't not seen my screen. Do you see my? You don't have my screen. I did. It's launched and everything. Hold on. Our special secret, super secret. Yeah, it's on. It's running. It's going. It's zooming.
So in the meantime,
yeah, please stall.
we have not only one exciting new feature that I'm going to talk about in Lightroom today, but we have two actually. And so I'm really excited to not only talk about the texture slider, which is revolutionizing portrait retouching as well as every other type of photo editing in Lightroom, but also the range mask. So you guys definitely need to stick around because I'm gonna blow your mind when it comes to some Lightroom stuff.
She's going to blow your mind when it comes to Lightroom and portrait retouching
But
today.
I really want to see these photos.
Oh, I got some. So this photo here, this is us. This is our group shot. Some of us are missing from the group shot because somebody had to take the group shot, but Mimo is missing and Willie is missing from the shot. They're both standing there. They're there, but they're not in the shot. And what I did was, so we do some things to surprise the class, some things that would be fun and interesting. And one of them was I rented this old Citrione from like back in the 60s so we could position it in front of a really cool old bakery that looks like,
wow,
something out of time.
Wow.
And then the driver said, I can position the car on this road so we can have Notre Dame behind you. And so we did that there.
Let me think about that one.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Yes, please. So that was that one. But so another thing that we did, and we did this to surprise the class. So we don't tell them really the whole agenda. We say we'll be shooting at dawn, we'll be shooting at dusk. We're in the classroom.
Wow.
But so another thing we did is we hired a model. So with the help of Serge Remeli's daughter. So Serge's daughter, Marine, she actually works on Paris Photo Week, Fashion Week.
Cool.
I know. And so she helped me find a model. So we line up a great model and she speaks English, which is very good. We talk back and forth. The day of the thing, I get a text from her. She says, I can't make it to the shoot today.
Oh, no.
However, I'm sending my sister.
Okay.
And so she says,
Good.
It's okay. My sister is a model and she'll be fine.
Okay.
But she said something else that made us all go, this will be fine. Her sister represented France in the Miss Universe contest. She was Miss Universe for France. And we're like, we're okay with this. She'll be fine. And of course, she was fantastic. But we did get
phenomenal.
But the students loved this so much. They were like, can we shoot with a model again? So I went back and we actually got to shoot with both sisters on different days and different locations. So anyway, it was really great. So it was a lot of fun, and we got to shoot Miss Universe for France.
That is what sets your workshops apart, because
It's
you
crazy.
are the one going and doing all of this prep work, calling in all of your contacts all over the world, and making that unbelievable experience for these photographers that you're not going to get if you just go to Paris on your own.
Thank you. But we really do. We work hard. I mean, everything's planned out. We have an itinerary for everything. And I will say this. I was very pleased that a number of people from the workshop said, you guys worked so hard to organize all this stuff. And we really do care. We did a lot of planning. We also had to have contingencies in case it rained. It's Paris. You know how many times it rained? Like for an hour. And that's all we had. We had great clouds and everything. So I'm just going to whip you through some behind the scenes shots here real quick. Here's our classroom. Had a nice classroom. Here's us shooting the first model, the one that sent her sister. So this is the original model. She was great too. She was awesome. And so this is my platypod on location. We're platypodding at just after dawn there. And you know what's amazing? When you go there at dawn, I mean, this is like the craziest circle of cars in the world, but there was hardly anybody there at dawn. So it's great.
That's amazing. And I will say one thing. When I went to Trevi Fountain once, and I was still capitalizing on the fact that I was totally jet lagged. And as soon as I set up that tripod, I had police beelining for me, yelling at me in Italian, saying, you can't set that up. You can't set that up. Now, this is before I had my Platypod.
Right.
But if I had had my Platypod in that situation, I would have been able to get that shot.
They don't say anything. Yeah.
No,
they don't say anything.
They don't.
They're like, oh, whatever. So, so this is the restaurant where we had dinner. So this is the place right here. So I'll just take you through it real quick. Just doop-a-doop-a-doo. There we are shooting around, having fun, eating food. There's the classroom. That's me up front, all out of focus. That's how I like to be while I'm at the workshop. I try to be as out of focus as possible. And this is just us shooting around, having fun. On location, doing different stuff. And there we are on the Ponce d'Art Bridge.
Oh, wow.
And there's the restaurant. That's the restaurant, the Pomodoro.
Cool.
So that was really, really a great restaurant. There's Kim came all the way from Australia to go to it. Super nice guy, real good shooter too, real good shooter. Anyway, there's just some little shots of us shooting around town. Hey, we're shooting, doing stuff. That's us
Amazing.
at dawn. Hey, didn't you used to, when you were younger,
I did.
rollerblade there every day?
Every day after school. Yep.
So,
I would go there before I even thought about becoming a photographer.
yeah.
When I was angsty and when I was conflicted and unhappy to be living in Paris, France. Oh.
All right. So, hey, for those of you who are just joining us, so we had a power outage. We lost the feed, and hopefully the feed is back. Is the feed back up? Feed's back up. But sorry about that. It's like kind of happens here in Florida, usually in the afternoons. But it took the whole building down, all the sides, everything went down. It was just sitting in the dark, crying softly. But we're back now.
True.
Anyway, so that was just kind of a little bit of what we did there at the workshop. Hey,
did the hotel do anything nice for the?
Did the hotel do anything for the gentleman? Well, they gave him an open bar tab. And they actually did file an insurance claim on his behalf. Now, he would probably have been covered by his, probably, not for certain, by his homeowner's insurance. Is very, very possible. Because he's not a full-time working pro, it was his personal gear. But also the hotel, which normally, like when I checked into the Hilton in London, on the safe was a warning. We're not responsible for your stuff. No matter what happens, we're not responsible. But the hotel in France was filing, and I tell you what, the police took it very seriously. The police came twice. They did fingerprints. They interviewed the maids. They were all over it. The police took it very, very seriously, because you figure the police are going to be like, oh, it happens, but the police weren't like that. They were on the ball about it, and they were there quickly. And then there was a security guard on station every night, all night. There was a security guard in the lobby. But they also went and checked all the room key, like who keyed in and who keyed out. And they determined that it was unlocked from inside, meaning someone didn't use the key card. They picked the lock.
I see.
But someone had to tell him, hey, this room is packed full of equipment that's not in the safe.
Yes.
So it was kind of weird. I'm not sure who would have told him that. But somebody either he followed him, spotted him, but he had no camera gear with him. Like when we went to dinner the night before, everyone's got their iPhone. No one's taking their camera gear to dinner. The workshop doesn't start until the next morning.
It would be fascinating to have a conversation all about, like, of course, as professional photographers, most of them are going to have dedicated insurance for their photography gear. We spend a lot of money on that stuff, and we need to make sure that if anything happens, like when my lens fell into the tidal basin at the Jefferson Memorial, and I tried to climb over to go get it, and the park police were like, no, you don't get to go in there. That's why you get insurance, right? That's why you have insurance.
And your insurance paid for it, no problem?
Yes, a replacement. Wow. Thank goodness. But I think it's a good conversation to have with your very avid, non-professional users.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're freaking me out now. I got to go check my insurance policy.
I know, see if it's updated.
But yeah, holy cow. Well, there's also an app, and I'm going to tell you the name of the app. Oh, it's Gear Vault. So Gear Vault is an app, and they sell insurance for your gear. You put all your gear in, you put all your serial numbers and all your information. And by the way, Willie had Gear Vault and had all of his information. He was able to give the police all the serial numbers, every single thing. He had it all in Gear Vault.
That is fantastic.
But what you can do in Gear Vault is ask for an insurance quote right in the app, and they will sell you the insurance. So the Gear Vault app is tied to an insurance policy.
Wow, that's so cool.
I know, right?
They have apps for everything.
They have apps for everything.
Everything.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We have no idea how long we've gone, or we haven't. But when we come back, Kristy is going to talk to us about some of these new things in Lightroom that make retouching awesome. We are taking your questions and comments, so feel free to drop them to us. And also, that's how you enter the contest to win stuff. So it's important to leave comments, even if you just say hi from Spokane. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Hi, folks. Scott Kelby here. I want to tell you about an email I got, an angry email. So you know it's angry because the subject line says, Mr. Kelby. First, anytime somebody calls me Mr. Kelby, you know you're in trouble. Mr. Kelby, I'm so mad at you. That's what the subject line was. I'm like, oh, great. So I go read it, and he's like, Mr. Kelby, I saw your class on photo books, and I went and made a photo book, and I'm just so upset because now I've made 34 photo books, and you've got me hooked on these. And I went, whew. But that's how it is with photo books. I mean, think about this. All right, we have the shooting part, which is very creative, right? And then we have the editing part, which can be fun and creative. When you start making photo books, you're adding a third leg to this chair. Now you've got this other thing where you're the photo editor. You decide which photos make the book, how big they are, what goes on the left, what goes on the right. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. And Adobe made some changes. Now you can lay out pages any way you want. You can just, literally, it's like free transform. You can just make the photo whatever size you want. You can have multiple photos. They can overlap one another. You can have grids of 9, 15. You don't have to have a grid at all. You can just design it. I wanted to do a class that takes you from beginning to end, and I'm going to show you how to make it so fast that you'll be able to focus on just the fun. And when you hand somebody that photo book and they get it in their hands and they're going to be like, you did this? This is your photography? They're going to be blown away. You're going to be blown away. You're going to have a great, great time doing it. And the whole thing is self-contained right here in Lightroom Classic. If you want to learn a whole bunch about doing photo books, and you'll be able to follow along right with me and do your photo book right that same time, go watch my class. It's called Creating Beautiful Photo Books in Lightroom Classic, and it's exclusively at KelbyOne.
When you need a tripod that is compact, that is portable enough to take with you anywhere, one that is adaptable to any situation, that will prove versatile enough for any shoot, and is compatible with your other gear, giving you freedom to create your own perspective. Look no further. Platyball Ultra does it all. Visit platyball.com for more info.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
Hi. How you doing? Scott Kelby here. Kristina Sherk here. She didn't bring her sunglasses. I specifically wrote her and said,
Oh.
Bring your sunglasses.
Oh.
Just
Missed
kidding. Hi.
Missed the message.
I just can't read anything on the teleprompter. Hey, can we go to my computer here? Check out this. See this? This is the new Platyball sponsorship screen. It was supposed to have run at the beginning, but I forgot to tell anyone. So I'm running it now. Sponsored by Platyball, the greatest thing in the world. I took mine with me to Paris. I took mine with me to France. I had days where I had a tripod with me and I didn't even go out with my tripod. All I had with me was my Platyball. And you know what? We're going to give one away today on the grid. You know what we're going to give away? We're going to give away the very one that I was using, the Platyball Ultra. Oh yeah, this is the one. Literally, I had it in my back pocket. In my front pocket, I had a Really Right Stuff BH40. But you know what? I think I'm going to go with a smaller ball head. Now, I had on there a Canon EOS R and a 16-35 and my 70-200. People think you always have to have the big one. For the 7200. Here's why you don't have to have it for the 7200. The 7200 has a bracket around it. What do you call it? Not a sleeve. It's
like a ring,
a collar.
right?
Thank you,
Collar.
Juan. It's a collar. And so you put the foot of the collar on your and
it kind of evens.
It evens perfectly.
Evens
So I
laid
use a
out.
7200 on there, 1635, and I use the small one. It's not just for compact picture cameras. But if you're going to use big lenses, if you're doing a lot of life and stuff, 400s and stuff, yeah, you're going to need that. But anyway, just wanted to show that because I neglected to show it earlier, and that was my mistake. So there's that. Now, what else? I just got to mention. So we got something new at Photoshop World. Ready? This is ready and new.
Yes.
It's called An Evening with Joe McNally.
Hey.
So we have a special nighttime event where Joe is going to be talking. I know what his topic is, and I don't want to reveal it, but he's got an amazing topic. It's going to be an incredible night, a great chance for you to meet Joe in person, to be able to talk to him, to be able to listen to him. Is he not one of the most engaging storytellers
Yeah, he's fabulous.
on the planet? He tells his story through words, through pictures. There's a lot of emotion in his work, and you will just have an amazing night. It's part of Photoshop World. If you go to Photoshop World and you have a full conference pass, of course, it's included, no extra charge. All you have to do is show up at that night. It's an after-hours event, and it's before Midnight Madness. So you can go to an evening with Joe
perfect.
McNally and then go to Midnight Madness. Terrible things happened to you at Midnight Madness the first year you were there.
I do have interesting. I still have some of those little keepsakes.
So we didn't tell her, but we ambushed her. So we had little sharks that we threw. We had the audience throw little sharks at her while she's trying to do a tutorial, and she didn't know what was going on. But these sharks are flying up there, and then we played the Katy Perry song and had two full-size sharks come out and dance. Which, by the way, do you know who the sharks were?
I do.
It was my
Dave
son
Clayton.
Jordan and Dave Clayton.
Yeah.
And interesting story, Dave Clayton had never danced one time in his entire life. And he said he was so thankful for that because he was in that shark costume.
He could just let loose.
He let loose like you cannot believe. He had the sharky time of his life. And I got to see Dave a few days ago. It was so wonderful. All right, let's go. And so tell us about what's new in Lightroom.
Yeah, so there have been some really exciting updates in the last couple of months, which pertain specifically to, well, for me, I'm a portrait gal, right? So I do a lot of portraits.
You photograph them and you retouch them.
I do. And it keeps me rather busy. So the first thing that I want to just talk about a little bit is the difference between what we used to use for skin smoothing and what we are now going to probably be using for skin smoothing.
Yes.
So this is going to be the difference between negative 100 clarity and negative 100 texture. And so what I want to point out, it's very slight. It's very hard to see the differences, right off the bat. But what I did want to just point out is these areas right here, because I think that they explain the differences between the two. So you can see with negative 100 clarity that this is going to focus on larger areas of variation. So here's your original, right? So you look at the area under the eye and next to the nose, the crease next to the nose. You can see that those areas have been evened out, especially this highlight a little bit on the cheek. So all of those mid-tone areas are going to be kind of brought closer back to the middle if you're going negative 100 with your clarity. But of course, if you're going positive 100 with your clarity and you're bumping it all the way up, what's going to happen is it's going to look for those areas closest to the middle areas of contrast in your image and then create contrast in there. So that's kind of how the clarity slider works. Well, what about this new texture slider? What is going on over here? So you can see that these larger areas have been left alone. I'm going to just double click that so that we can look at the areas again. And you can see that those areas under the eyes have been left alone. And so this really focuses more on that small texture. And so the way that I like to describe it is clarity is going to look for areas where there's middle contrast. So all of the middle tones in your image closest to 50% gray in your image, those are going to be the ones that are either going to be, or that are going to be modified when you're using clarity. But when it comes to texture, the texture slider is going to look and create clarity. It's going to create texture within similar colors. So that's the way I try to describe the two of them. And so, to be honest, the sweet spot when it comes to skin smoothing is really going to be a combination of the two. So decreased clarity, and then also just a bump of increased texture. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. I'm still working on it. I'm still kind of trying to.
I'm still working on it,
so I'm not really sure. But the other really great thing that I want to talk to you guys about is something that, even though it was rolled out a few updates ago, I just got a chance to start playing around with it.
And it's amazing.
And it is amazing, especially for yours truly, because I'm a lazy masker. Okay?
I think we're all lazy maskers.
I think we should all be lazy maskers, because we should let the software do it for us, right? So I've just pulled my exposure all the way down on my local adjustment brush for this example. And I'm going to make a really, really sloppy mask over this shirt. So let's say somebody said, oh, you know what? I love this headshot, but there's just something about the shirt. I don't know what it is. It's just too blue or something like that or whatever.
And now it's black fur.
Now it's black fur. Exactly. So what we can do is we can come over here to this mask, this range mask, and we can turn this from off to color. And then it gives us this handy dandy eyedropper, the handy dandy eyedropper that we love. Exactly. So what you can do is activate this eyedropper and say, I only want this mask to be visible over these colors. So I'm clicking and I'm dragging a box, and it's going to sample all of the colors within that area, and immediately our mask has gotten rid of all of its nastiness around the edges, and it's finished. So now we can just...
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I've never thought to do that.
Well, I didn't either.
Now that I see it, I'm like, wow, that is really brilliant.
It's a game changer, right?
It is. So I use it when I'm doing a neutral density gradient filter, and I'm pulling this, darkening the sky and going to clear, but then I've got like a tower sticking up or something. I don't want it to go over the towers, in real life. And this is, this tool is an advantage over an actual neutral density filter, because think of it this way. Let's say I'm sitting in front of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., your hometown. So if I put a neutral density filter in front of my actual camera.
Yes, an actual neutral density.
Right, an actual neutral, which goes from dark to clear. It will darken the top of the Capitol.
Totally would.
As well as the sky.
Yep.
But in real life, what you want is the sky and not the Capitol. This will actually do that. The real thing is worse.
Yes, isn't that crazy?
Because that's not usually the way. It's like, do it the right way. But actually, this is great.
Do it in camera.
Hey, by the way,
actually,
before you continue on, I just want to read Rolf's comment here. He says, hi from Germany. Kristina is a hero in retouching. Good to have her on the show.
Thank you, Rolf. That's very kind.
See?
Yeah.
Told you.
I appreciate that.
I knew you were a hero. Did you ever know that you're my hero?
Oh, no.
And everything I would want to be. You can fly higher than an eagle.
Is that going to be the next song at the party?
I hope not. Okay, let's go on. Lightroom, cool stuff.
Yeah, so again, we've just darkened the shirt. Maybe we don't want to darken it too much. What if we want to just add a color to make it just a little bit less bluey and like a little bit more like an old grungy type of denim look to it, and then automatically that kind of takes our eye, the viewer's eye, away from this really bright shirt and brings it back to the important part of the image, which is right here.
Yep. That's very cool.
So anyway, those are going to be my two tips, little tipperoos for today. So a lot is changing in Lightroom, and it's making retouching portraits in Lightroom so much better. So if you haven't checked out my retouching portraits in Lightroom class,
yes, you should.
You should check it out.
Absolutely, over KelbyOne.
Yeah.
She also has very specific classes for Photoshop, so these are more advanced retouching. So the things that we do in Lightroom are kind of base level, retouching. If you really want to like retouch like a boss, Photoshop is the tool that we normally use. However, it was you that opened up people's eyes to how much can be done in Lightroom, right? So if you're already in Lightroom and you don't have to expand to another program, the amount that you can get done in Lightroom is and I think that you've done it better than anyone, is to show what can be done before you go to Photoshop. However, when you move on from, essential retouching to advanced retouching,
yes, for sure.
Then you go to Photoshop, and you've got classes just on skin, just on hair. I mean, you've got very specific, really, really great classes that go in depth on all kinds of techniques that make you a hero in Germany.
Well, great.
Hey, Carl has a comment here. Carl says the new texture slider is great. Agreed. Totally.
Yes.
So Michael has a good question. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to get to Michael's question right after this break. So don't go away. When we come back, we're going to pick up with Michael's question and a whole bunch more, and more talk about Joe McNally. Oh, Joey. We don't call him Joey, though.
No?
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
Make sure you don't miss any episodes of The Grid by subscribing to Apple's podcast app or iTunes. It's free, and we even have a special audio-only version, too. So sign up today.
Hey, everybody, we're back. Scott Kelby here with Kristina Sherk. We're talking about portrait retouching. Just want to mention I will be, my seminar called The Ultimate Photography Crash Course is coming to Chicago and the Detroit area. Hundreds of photographers are already signed up for those two dates. I hope that you will come out. It is next month, sometime in July. I'm not sure when, but I know it's in July because this is already June. 18th? Oh,
July
17th and 18th. Yeah. Your eyes are so good. I have to put on sunglasses to see that far. Anyway, it's the 17th and 18th. We're in Livonia. So that's where I'll be in the Detroit area, and I'll be in Chicago see, we never go to the exact city. We go just far enough away to be annoying. So we're not in Detroit. We're in Livonia. We're not in Chicago. We're in Rosemont. But people in those areas told us, please don't go to downtown Chicago.
Totally.
It's so hard to get to the convention center there.
Same thing with DC.
Where the one in Rosemont is perfect.
Yeah.
And you know what's right across the street? Gibson Steakhouse.
Perfect.
Amazing. I love Gibson's.
Well, next time you decide to come to the DC area, I will give you some suggestions.
Is one of them Carmine's? Please let it be, because that's my all-time favorite restaurant.
Of restaurants, yes, but of locations outside of the DMV.
You know, it's very hard to get into Washington because everybody wants to be at the Washington Convention Center.
Oh, yeah, but why? I mean, it takes me an hour to drive 12 miles.
Expensive.
It's not worth it. Let's do something on the outskirts of town.
I agree.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, let's pick up with, hey, I'm going to Japan.
Are you?
In 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to Japan. You know what I'm doing in Japan?
What are you doing in Japan?
Ready?
Oh, man. Isn't there a song?
No, I'm going on vacation.
Hey, good for you.
With my family. So my kids are both really into anime. They're
Nice.
really seriously into like anime and manga. And my son's been to Japan before, and he just is enthralled with Japan, but he was a very young kid when he went before. He's always wanted to go back, and my daughter is dying to go, and we're taking the whole family, and there's no work involved. We're just going to go to Tokyo Disneyland, because they have one of the greatest, I think the greatest Disney theme park is Tokyo Disney Sea. Incredible, amazing. And we're staying right there on the Disney property, and then we're going to go into Shinjuku, and we're going to go to the Gundam base, which is where my son's, like, that's his home base. Very exciting.
Nice.
Tokyo.
Oh, yes.
Tokyo. All right.
Cool.
The Vapors Turning Japanese. That is a naughty song. Did you put that up there? Ron just, oh, by the way, all right. So Kristina is not here. She's on vacation or something. Yeah. So she's sick. Worse. Oh. So Ron is moderating. Ron, how many years have you worked here, Ron? It'll be 10 next year. Ron has never moderated the grid. So Ron is he's our streaming expert. So he's in there. There's Ron. There he is right there. Ron is usually handling the streaming, which was not a great day for the streaming to go out. So, but anyway, so Ron is on the comments. To be nice to him, because he's not Kristina and he's just not very good. So no, I'm kidding. It's just a joke. Anyway, but so the Vapors, Turning Japanese is about something naughty. You know that, right? Oh, no,
so
it
you're
has
allowed.
nothing. It's not a racial thing. It's a naughty thing, like straight up naughty. So anyway, it's supposed to be one of the naughtiest songs ever.
Oh, now I'm going to have to go
kidding.
Google
I'll
this.
explain it on the break. I can't do it on the air. I'll explain it on the break because it's very, very naughty. All right. So let's go back to Michael's question. So Michael Dow says, generally, how does the process of retouching men differ from retouching women?
It's a really, really good question, Michael. So you have to kind of think about what are the features that you want to accentuate and what are the features that you want to kind of minimize. And so, what I would say is I would actually ask that question to a makeup artist if you have a makeup artist that you work with a lot, because one of the things that I talk about a lot, especially in my skin class, is contouring. Well, you're going to contour a face of a man completely differently than you're going to contour the face of a female, so male or female. So, different things want to be accentuated, and then other things want to be minimized. The other thing that I would say is going super strong with the skin smoothing is totally a bad idea when it comes to men. You can do overall kind of evening of the shadows and highlights, like some dodge and burn maybe, but not doing anything that's really going to smooth out those pores, because that's just, I don't know, you're just asking for it,
with
right?
guys, we want to see the pores. I am more likely to accentuate a man's pores and use a little bit of clarity or sharpening or contrast or something to bring out the pores. And the older the man, the more I bring it out.
Sure. Yes.
So when they get old, don't smooth it. Now I will on men reduce wrinkles. I don't remove them.
Yes.
Like I might make somebody look 5 years younger or 8 years younger. I don't make them look 40 years younger, But yeah, I handle guys very differently. Guys retouching takes 5 minutes because really nobody cares about guys. It's just sharpen them to death and save the file. And we make that as a joke, but it's like really you don't do a whole lot to guys. We don't soften the skin. I don't do a whole lot of contouring.
You make the muscles bigger.
You make the muscles bigger, and it's you want to make their eyes look good.
Yes.
But you don't want to make their eyes look too good because they're guys.
Right.
Right. So, it's like guys just have a very limited amount of stuff that you can do that is okay.
Yeah.
Jerry asks, what are some of the other uses for the texture slider?
Yeah, so I'm going to punt that to you because I do a lot of skin work and portraits and stuff like that. So what are some other uses and applications for that?
I actually think the texture slider is well named because I think of it as bringing out texture. So it's very different. You mentioned that clarity. What clarity does is it adjusts mid-tone contrast. That's what clarity does. But because it's adjusting mid-tone contrast, when you drag the clarity slider back and forth, in fact, if you give me a second, I'll find an image and we'll do it. You will notice that the tone of the image changes. You'll actually see the tone. Oh, you've got an image there.
Yeah, why don't we?
You can just go ahead and pull up an image.
Okay, so I did my negative clarity in this way, I think, or maybe not.
Or just pick any other image. So
any image.
You don't have to worry about isolating someone.
Okay.
So go grab the clarity slider and drag it to 100. Just drag it from 100 and back to 0 a couple times.
Whoa.
Right, and go back.
Whoa.
So it actually changes the tone. So go from 0 to 100. And just goes 100 and 0
to 100, 0.
Do you notice it actually
100.
is changing the tone of the image? Now, do the same thing with texture, and you'll see the tone doesn't change. Watch. The tone's not changing, but the texture, it's like a detail enhancing slider without having the
haloing of sharpening.
Also without adjusting the mid-tone contrast.
Yeah.
So drag it back and forth again. Look at the histogram.
Yes, that's what I was going to point out.
Now drag the clarity slider and look at the histogram, and you'll see it affects. It's actually it's giving the appearance of sharpening while adjusting mid-tone contrast. I'm not sure what the math is behind texture, but I like it a whole lot better. Because now, that being said, I'm not stopping using clarity.
True.
I'm using them together. I'm using just like exactly what you said, less clarity and more texture because it's not moving the tones of the image. But clarity can still look really, really great. So don't say, oh, this is a better clarity, I'm not going to use it anymore. Clarity has one look, texture has another. Use them together or use them separately, but one does not replace the other. It's not advanced clarity. It's just a different form of bringing out detail without moving the mid-tone contrast. So that's,
it's totally looking for different things in the image too.
It is, and it does a nice job. You don't have to apply as much. Kendall asks, is it still a good idea to clean up some wrinkles on guy photos, or the more the better? I think it depends on the image.
Yeah.
Like if I have an image of a very old guy and I know that the wrinkles are going to add character, I don't reduce them at all. However, you'll see someone who's 35 years old that has a lot of wrinkles. You'll see, you know what I mean? You'll see a gentleman that you go, we could pull that back a little bit. And I would reduce. I don't remove them because it looks odd in anyone if you remove their wrinkles, unless they're like 7 years old. But outside of that, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think my brain just flew out the window. What was the question?
I don't even remember because it flew out the window.
Oh my goodness.
It was asking about wrinkles with men. Like, would you reduce them or do you leave them?
You reduce them sometimes. And then the other thing that I was going to say before my brain flew out of the window.
You know what happened? Because we took our shark fins off.
We did, and it just let everything out the top.
It goes right out the top.
Oh, man. The other thing I would say is if you're working with a client, it's a good idea to always ask the client, what would they like to see fixed? You don't go ahead and project what you think needs to be fixed, because that's a terrible situation to be in where you're looking at somebody else's face and critiquing their face and telling them what needs to be fixed about their face. Don't do that.
Oh, gosh. I always tell them, I always go, look, you're a mess. Look, we're going to have to do some. I might have to gather teams of retouchers. This might have to go to Stad, where teams of retouchers will work night and day for a week to try to get you just looking at 5. Am I wrong? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? No? Bad?
Well, I don't know.
Wow, you're so...
I'm going to plead the fifth on that one.
Man, you should be a senator. Okay. So here's a question real quickly. If you had one photograph to retouch, which program would you use? Christy, would you use Lightroom, Photoshop, or Capture One?
It is my favorite answer ever. It depends.
Doesn't depend for me. Photoshop. I have Capture One. I only like one thing about Capture One, which is I like its raw conversion.
Okay.
Because it's already juiced. It already looks like your image looks like it's done. It's already had clarity applied and a bunch of other stuff. It's not what Adobe gives you. Adobe gives you a raw conversion that looks very much like what your camera created. Capture One says, screw that. Let's throw a bunch of stuff on it so it looks really awesome.
All right. Well, that's
now,
cool.
Adobe would say, it's not, and they will say, their engineers would go, it is not our job to fix your photo. You shot in raw.
Creative, to add creative stuff.
You're saying, give me the raw image and I'll add my juice.
Exactly.
Capture One is saying, give us the raw photo. We're going to throw our juice on it, and I hope you like it. It's a very different mindset.
Yeah, I'm not totally cool with that.
Now,
I don't think.
I'm not either. However, sometimes it looks really great. Like that's what Peter Hurley uses is Capture One.
Okay.
And his images come out of the camera, and you're like, dang, those look retouched because they have been retouched. They've had some stuff put on them. Now, you can match that in Lightroom if you up the amount of sharpening, if you up the amount of clarity. In fact, it was Martin Evening from the UK, brilliant Photoshop guy, amazing Lightroom man, who did an article in Lightroom magazine that said if you want your images to look just like Capture One's coming out of Lightroom, set these as your default.
Wow, fascinating.
Oh yeah, and then it looks the same. Now, I will say this: Capture One has some very nice color grading tools, but it is I don't think you can compare it for actual retouching to Photoshop.
Right.
It is very much like Lightroom, and it has a limited set of tools. Photoshop, however, you look at an image, there's nothing that you can't do. You don't look at it and say, this can't be done in Photoshop. I have to get another program.
Yeah.
No. But Lightroom hits a wall. Capture One hits a wall. They are very contained. Just having a brush and a few little choices is not Photoshop, which is unlimited. Like there's nothing that you can say this can't be done in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Where that's the case.
The other big thing that I like to tell people is it also depends on how the image is going to be viewed. If it's going to be on a screen and it's going to be on a website and it's this big,
this could be Instagram,
this big
pixels.
on a website, like it's a little headshot. Don't spend 2 hours retouching it in Photoshop down at the poor level. We don't have time for that. I always say work smarter, not harder.
Yep.
And so so that also depends. You have to really ask your client, how is this going to be seen? Is this on a billboard? Then heck yes, it's going through Photoshop.
See, you always say work smarter, not harder. I say work smarter, send your work to Christy and have her retouch it, and then it'll always look perfect, and you don't have to. That's the easiest way because then it's just an email. Here's
true.
my raw photo. Please make it look good and send me a bill. Thank you. Love, Kathy. All right. So we're gonna be right back. When we come back, we're taking your questions and comments. Throw those to us. We got some giveaways to do. I only mentioned one thing that we're giving away, but we're giving away another thing as well. That all happens in just a moment. Don't go away.
Image restoration has always been one of the most rewarding things you can do in Photoshop because it's not just, like fixing a tear, it's more fixing a memory. And then you present it to either a family member or a client and they just look at it and, their eyes fill with tears or whatever it is. It's just, of anything I've done in Photoshop, it's by far the most rewarding. In this course, you'll learn how to deal with many of the common problems like faded black and white photographs, faded color, tears, rips, unwanted elements like tape and writing. We'll even talk about how to deal with missing body parts. If you need to fix someone's face or replace a hand, you can just borrow it from another photograph. Back in the old days, many photographs were tiny like this, so the challenge is how on earth do you take something like this and turn it into an 8x10 photograph? So we'll talk about how to calculate the correct resolution so it's easy to take a small photograph and make it big. It's definitely a skill that takes some time to learn and really get good at it. And once you do, then it becomes a skill you can share with other people and repair the photographs for other families and help them restore their memories as well. Generations to come will look at these photographs and go, wow, that was taken in 1902 and it looks pretty darn good. If you want to learn key techniques to bring life back into old photos, please join me for my new class on image restoration only on KelbyOne.com.
I found that there are common questions that come up in how to start a sports photography business. Not just how to take the pictures, but how to do the business of it in order to get published and hopefully make a career out of it and be paid. And we'd bring an audience in and they would ask their questions, I will answer them, and we will see if we can get to the bottom of how to make a living in sports photography. I think what the audience will get out of this class is a better understanding of sort of the progressions from shooting like youth to high school to college to the pros, and then actually starting to use some lighting as well and move into the commercial sector of the industry. There's a repetitive pathway in all of this that I think will be very valuable to people in learning how to better conduct their business or even start a business in sports photography. Come join me at my new class on KelbyOne.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Platyball, the world's most compact tripod base.
Hey, we're back. Scott Kelby here with Kristina Sherk, retoucher extraordinaire. All right. Hey, I want to mention a couple of things. I mentioned Joe McNally was doing an evening with Joe McNally. That's at Photoshop World. So we did Orlando Photoshop World. In fact, this is my first grid back from Orlando Photoshop World, which was an absolute blast. We had an absolute killer time. But we're doing 2 Photoshop Worlds this week, one East Coast, one West Coast. The West Coast one is August 21st through 23rd. And we're someplace new. We're at the Mirage Resort and Casino, which I'm predicting, I'm going on record, I predict it will be the best place we've ever done Photoshop World.
I'm excited.
Also, the hotel to the convention center, 1 minute and 52 seconds.
Nice.
Instead of 18 minutes at the Mandalay Bay. Mandalay Bay was great to us, but that walk from the, you've made that walk.
Oh, yeah.
It's a walk. And depending on where you were, it was either 17 minutes or like 20 minutes. That's a long way, because if you forget something in your room, it's like a 40-minute trip.
Or if you were 5 minutes late to your class one time. Shall we rehash that?
No, let's not. Let's not.
I made up for it. I gave away some freebies in my class.
You know what she did? She handed everybody a $20 bill. She said, look, here's 20 bucks to forget all about it. All right. Hey, look at this. So John just set me up. John, I love that so John just wrote, I have Scott's landscape book and have found things I never knew I should be doing. Good reference book. Because we're giving away one of these today to someone who is right now leaving a comment. So if you leave us a comment, you're entered to win, and we're going to pick a winner in just a minute. So it's the landscape photography book. It's out. It's in stores. It's in print. It's awesome. You know what? A woman gave me a review yesterday on Amazon. You know what she wrote? She gave me 4 stars. She goes, I don't know if it's any good. I just got it for the pictures. I gave it to somebody as a gift. The pictures are nice.
Hey, okay, pictures are nice.
I'll take 4 stars for a picture nice.
If she read it, it would have been a 5-star.
It would have been a 5-star. She was 1 star away, but you have to look at the words. The words are important. Then we're going to give away a Platyball Ultra. This is the same one that I had with me. Let's take a quick look at my screen to really enjoy it once again.
Yes.
So on the left, the smaller one is the Platyball Ultra. That's what we're giving away today. Tune in next week. We'll be giving away the big boy on the other side. It's on my left. Hopefully it's on your left. Hey, what kind of camera is that with a little red notch on it? We know it's a Nikon. So anyway, but the one I'm giving away, by the way, so everyone in my class, every single person in my workshop had a Platyball. I kid you not. But one of the folks started putting the screws in. We're like on a concrete thing. We're like, you don't need to put the screws in unless it's an uneven, like if you're on the rocks. Like, see how this is on the rocks? I'm not even sure I'd use a Platyball with the little spikes, but it does come with spikes. But I rarely ever use the spikes. In fact, the last time I used the spikes was at my worldwide photo walk last year in Austria, and I used my Platyball all the time. Like I said, for days, I never even took it out. I mean, I never took out my tripod. I only used the Platyball. It's so awesome. I need a smaller ball head, though.
You know, and those things sink underwater. So if you're doing any video underwater, that you just strap it right onto a couple of weights down there, it's good to go.
Yeah, they've thought about every possible thing you could do with one of those. But anyway, I want a smaller ball head because my ball head, the really right stuff one, here's what happens. The little knob goes dink, 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 and I have to turn it around so it'll turn.
Oh, I see.
So I think now one of the people in my workshop had a 3-leg thing, airhead. Seemed to work pretty well. Anyway, John, thank you for mentioning that. We're going to be giving one away in just a minute. Now, technically, we are over already by 5 minutes. I want to say that 5 minutes was the time we were rebooting all the systems and all that kind of stuff. That's what I want to say. Let's see. Dark Request says we need to wrap up. Oh, we need to wrap. So Dark Request is the former Instagram name of our director who's in the booth. And we just call him Dark Request now because he's going to be stuck with that forever. Isn't that kind of creepy, Dark Request? It's not just me, is it?
It's super bad. I don't know.
I know. He changed it.
Kind of crazy cool, though.
Now he's that. I have to go put on my glasses stinking.
Dark
It's fun
Request.
getting old. Let's see. The Digital Surgeon. Still a little creepy, but yeah. You know, we need to have a contest. Seriously.
All of his Instagram names.
Why don't we do a contest? And like next week, we pick a better name than the Digital Surgeon and Dark Request. The bad thing is, if you knew Jason, he's the coolest guy. He's
so
great.
Fun.
He's really nice and he's mellow and he's awesome. He's got a cool car. He's just a really cool guy. And there's nothing about him that says creepy or anything.
No.
Not in the least bit. And he's got the creepiest name. We gotta do that. His middle name is Hammer.
We're losing it here. We're losing it.
This is not a good show.
The brain.
And Chrissy, I had such high hopes, but this has crashed it at the very end. It was going so well, but then Dark Request.
We had some nuggets. We had
had good moments. We had good moments, but you weren't supposed to end on a high note. And
no,
here we are. We are ending on a high note because there's Juan. His Instagram. This is one you should follow. Not creepy. And Juan _ I'm not sure what it named it, _ How many Juan Alfonsos are there? Like a lot? Millions.
Whoa.
So, all right, so go follow Juan on Instagram. Don't follow the Digital Surgeon because we'll change the name by next week. Here's our winners. The Platypod goes to Nina. All right, congratulations, Nina. You've won the Platypod Ultra from our friends at Platypod. The Landscape book goes to Stacy Y, and we will be contacting you to get your information to ship those to you, so don't just jump offline until Ron calls you. Ron contacts you. Now, once Ron's contacted you, he then has all of your contact information will probably show up at your house. Probably 11:30 to 12 at night. All right. So, Chrissy, I would ask people where could people go to learn more about you, but I think we're seeing it on screen.
We are. It's sharkpixel.com.
Yay.
Yeah.
And catch all of her classes here. And you've also were very gracious to give us some things for our KelbyOne Pro member toolkit.
I was, and I'm thinking about doing something off the cuff here. Why don't I give away one of my portrait adjustment brush mega packs?
Ooh, where do they have to go to do that?
Well, can we pick a name from our?
Sorry,
we're just going crazy here.
This is unscripted. This is off the chain.
Yeah, I'd love to give away one of those.
Ron's going to go give one of those away, and if they don't win, we're at the same place. They can find it at Shark Pixel.
Yeah, sharkpixel.com/store.
All right.
Yeah.
Matt in Indiana.
Yeah.
Matt just won in Indiana. So, Matt, you just won.
The portrait, that's first thing right there. Portrait adjustment brush mega
brushes.
pack.
Mega pack. You just won it from Christy, a $65 value.
So you can stop retouching portraits in Photoshop.
There you go. Dun, 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 dun. Well, thank you. That was very nice of you, Christy.
My pleasure.
Where can people follow you on Instagram?
So I am at shark_pixel.
Should you do the underscore first like Juan? Should it be
I know.
underscore?
Maybe I should go ahead and change it up. Or just do dark request.
We should all use dark request first.
Underscore
dark request Shark Pixel. _ dark request Scott Kelby. _ Juan Alfonso dark request Shark Pixel Kelby.
I love it.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. It was sure good to be back. Thanks for all my friends who came out to see me in London. We had such a great time. It was really great catching up with everybody. I'm trying to have a post Friday about the whole trip with all kinds of behind the scenes photos and stuff. So if you go by my blog on Friday, hopefully we'll be there.
We better see you in Vegas.
Thanks to Juan. Oh, we'll see you in Vegas. Come to Vegas this August. And Ron, you did a fine job today. And by that, I mean not really. Juan, good as always. Ron just shrugs like, I don't want it. It wasn't my job. I just stepped in to help. What the heck?
That's the emoji, right?
That was the emoji.
The shrug emoji.
That's the shrug emoji. Hey, how high does this jib go? That thing's way up there. If he goes any higher, he's going to hit something and sparks will fly and all. And anyway, thanks to Dark Request in there. Thanks. All joking aside, thank you, Ron, for stepping in and helping us out. We'll catch you guys next week right here on The Grid.
Thank you, guys.
Yay, Beatles.